Okay, continuing on with Remembrance of the Cousin. I should be stopping right now. I should be. It's afternoon. It's 12:07 p.m. I should be eating right now. But I think maybe I got like maybe one more video. I'd like to finish these videos here about talking about my cousin that died. I'm almost done. So I was talking about like originally I heard that I I was told that my cousin died because he drowned, which kind of doesn't make sense though because considering he liked swimming a lot, like that he was a good swimmer, like why would he have drowned if he was a really good like if he was a good swimmer? So it makes sense that that wasn't the real reason why he died. Because so I found out later that he died like he was found in the water, but he died before he hit the water, is what I was told. I don't even know exactly where he died. Like I remember like looking in I remember reading the article in the newspaper and it said the location of where he died, but I don't remember where that was and I think I have an idea of where it was in town. When I was going around looking for photos to take for thumbnails for the videos. So I think I know where it was, but I don't know for sure because the place I was thinking of, I don't know. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know the name of this place. So I don't have access to this article anymore, and I don't have like a copy of the obituary for my cousin. And I even tried looking online for. I typed in his name and I typed in the town and the year and everything on the internet, and I couldn't find anything. Like I was actually like disturbed by. Well, I was disturbed that I couldn't find him at all on the internet anywhere I looked. Like he didn't. It was like he didn't even exist at all, which is horrible to think about. Like there's no information about the existence of my cousin online, and so I was that bothered me. But then also like I there were a few that had the exact same name of my cousin, like even in the exact same town of my cousin, but they weren't him. It was like stolen identity. So that bothered me. Because like I'm trying to remember my cousin in these videos and I try looking him up online and it's like it's like he didn't even exist because like there's no evidence of his existence online. At least none that I could find. So that bothered me. One of the I think one of the stages of grief is anger and like there's definitely times where I feel angry about his death. Anger and confusion. Confusion, is that another stage of grief? Did I say stage of grief or stage of death? Stages of grief. Anger. So yeah, I definitely had some anger about my cousin dying and some confusion. So originally I heard that he died from drowning, but then later I found out it was he died before he fell in the water from an aneurysm. And I got my dictionary here. So I had never heard of an aneurysm before this, before my cousin died. So something like a brain, something that happens in the brain, like I've heard it called brain aneurysm, but in here it just says aneurysm. My dictionary, I just looked up aneurysm. But it happens in the brain. I guess if it's not, maybe it can happen elsewhere in the body, but I'm not sure exactly. But this relating to my cousin was just in his brain. So for aneurysm, it says an excessive localized enlargement of an artery caused by a weakening of the artery wall. So that definition doesn't really satisfy me very much because that doesn't really, for me, that doesn't really explain. Okay, well, what does that mean? Like, why did that happen? What causes that? So I've tried to get a better explanation to why. Okay, so he had this aneurysm by this, according to this definition of what an aneurysm is. Well, what does that mean? Like, why did he have the aneurysm? So that's been frustrating for me, like, and confusing for me that I've never gotten an answer to. All I got was it just happened. So that kind of scares me thinking about that. Well, it just happened, so it could happen to anybody at any time. It could happen to me. That's a scary thought. For one thing, like I want to know what happened to my cousin, why he died, why did he have the aneurysm, but I also want to be like, well, okay, how do I avoid that? I don't want that to happen to me or anybody else, really. So I've heard about other people having aneurysms and they didn't die, but I don't know what's causing these aneurysms to happen. So that really bothers me thinking about that because it confuses me because it just seems like it could happen to anybody. Like, it's a scary thought. So another thing, when dealing with my cousin, or remembering my cousin, is I developed this sort of number obsession. This weird like obsession with numbers. Um, like I even like tried looking for his obituary uh, online just to confirm to myself the actual date of my cousin's death because like I remembered it being Memorial Day. Like I for sure I know I have the right year, 1991. So my cousin was 13. He had recently turned my cousin had recently turned 13. So it was in 1991. And I knew it was at the end of May, so Memorial Day. But Memorial Day, I think, might be one of those holidays where it's not always on the same day of the year. But so end of May 1991. And so I had for many years I was thinking this was the 31st of May. But then later I was thinking, well, do I am I have I been wrong this whole time? Was it actually the 30th that my cousin died? But I had had this uh, obsession with the number 31 since I remembered him dying on the 31st. Unless I'm mistaken, it was actually the 30th this whole time, but so I had this, I guess, like kind of like a fear obsession, like some people have with the Like there's the 666 number that people associate with the devil, and then there's like the 13th, the 13th, like some buildings they don't have the 13th floor on their building, like this fear of the number 13, which is kind of interesting because like so this whole number obsession, like so I was like I had this like this I guess anxiety about the number 31, so I was like trying to avoid it, like, oh, I don't like that number, I'm going to stay away from it. Or just bother me seeing the number 31, which so it's also interesting thinking about the number thing. Like so my cousin died on the 31st, 31, and he had recently turned 13, 1 3, so the other way around, 31, 31, 1 3. So that was interesting. 13 and 31. That whole connection there. I never really seemed too bothered with the fifth month, May. So I don't. It's funny that I wasn't bothered by the number five. It was just mainly 31 and 13. 13 just seemed like, well, yeah, a lot of people are like Friday the 13th, all those movies. That's just a common thing. People are always like bothered by the number 13. But then so I wasn't. I was more focused on the number 31. And also, the number 31 also pops up again here with okay, so I did the math here. So this is weird. So 1991, I subtracted the number 1991, so the year he died, 1991, with the current year, 2022. I did the subtraction there. 2022 and 1991. So I subtracted that, and I came up with 31. So that's weird thinking about that. I just gave myself chills. Oh, the other thing I was thinking about with my cousin was the life he missed out on. Like with anyone that whenever like I assume other people think that when they think about a relative or like someone they're close to that dies, they might think about um, the life that they've missed out on, especially when many years go by and they look back on the person they were close to, uh, and they think about what they would have been like if they hadn't died, like how they would have grew older and matured things. And so I think like other people probably think that too. Like they think about like what the person that died, what they missed out on, like like music and movies. Just thinking about, oh, this how what maybe the person that died would have liked certain things that they never got to experience because they died young or died at all. But like especially if they died young, like they're missing out on, well, they're missing out on growing older. They're missing out on becoming an adult. So that was something that I was thinking about. Like my cousin missed out on like uh, a lot of things about what people usually experience when they grow older. Like he missed out on like getting a driver's license and graduating high school, going to college if he wanted to, getting married, having kids. Like so he missed out. My cousin missed out on a lot of things, and so that's really sad to think about the life he could have had. Like dying when you're 13, it's, it's a really young age to die. When you compare it to an adult person like me, like being in my 40s, there's so much that my cousin missed out on. And I kind of wonder, like, uh, what what would my relationship to my cousin be now? Like, would we still be talking to each other, or would we have grown apart? Would we be getting along? I don't know. I would like to think that we would be getting along, and I kind of wonder, like, uh, it's like the butterfly effect theory. Like when you do when something happens and it causes like other things. It reacts to other things that happen later. Like, how different would my life be if back in 1991, if my cousin hadn't died? How different would my life be right now? So that's interesting to think about. Okay, I guess that's it. That's the last of my notes here. That's all my notes. So it was maybe some things weren't as interesting as other things. But I feel, in my opinion, there's been at least a few things that have been very interesting to talk about when I remember my cousin. So for me, it's been very. I think it's a very interesting story that all of these things happened, especially like considering it only happened in like a 13 year, 12 to 13 years, because that's how old my cousin was when he died, 13. So not that a lot of interesting things happened during that decade, and I feel like I'm very glad that I did these videos, because it's been like a therapy session for me. It gave me the opportunity to talk about these things. So I'm very glad that I did this, remembering my cousin.